So many people have these big goals, these big dreams that they're too scared to go after, and they go to the grave with them. I went to my first 2 ships for 4 years, went on 1 deployment per ship. I just kept on having this vision of me racing in the Cup Series and walking out to driver intro when I was on the ship on deployment. I made that decision on deployment that, hey, NASCAR was where I was gonna go. I've been the only person who's been in the Navy, African American, and also racing in NASCAR.
Everything he's done in the military, he's now putting into a car. This work ethic is something that I've never seen before. I would get these calls or text messages like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning from Jesse, and I say, man, what are you doing? And he'll be in his racing simulator at 1:30 in the morning. He'll spend any amount of time, any amount of effort to achieve his ultimate goal.
Daytona International Speedway, just 3 years after being on the ships, is pretty amazing.
The first stock car race of 2018 is green. Here we go from Daytona.
Some years ago when I was sitting in the Arabian Gulf, never would have thought that I'd be sitting here at Daytona. It just takes a lot of effort, a lot of grind, and never quitting. There was many times I wanted to quit. I wrecked out of 6 of my first 7 races. After each one, I could have easily been like, why am I doing this still? Quit. But I told myself, no, it's gonna get better. The amount of confidence I've been able to gain, the way I can attack goals, I learned a lot of it in the Navy, and I was not gonna be able to do that if I wasn't. You gotta begin walking and keep walking and start running, keep grinding. Even when you trip and fall, you get up and you go. Anytime someone tells you you can't, look the other way and you keep going. My name is Lieutenant Jesse Iwuji, and I'm a surface warfare officer in the United States Navy.
Today in the show, we have Jesse Iwuji. He is a NASCAR driver, and before he was NASCAR, he trained and he was in the Navy. He's actually still active in the Navy. Very talented gentleman. Thanks so much for coming on the show. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on the show.
So you're also recently involved in esports, I see. How's that working out?
Yeah, for esports, recently started my own esports league last year, mainly because during COVID, we saw how, sports and live sports really got shut down because of everything. So, a lot of people moved to the esports realm to be able to still kind of have some type of sports. Well, esports have been growing over the last few years a lot. And then last year it really started booming. So I just looked at it as a great opportunity to capitalize on the boom. And we started our own sim racing league where people who were on the esports side of motorsports, they could compete in our league for prize money, cash prizes, all that stuff. And the league's been growing. It's been, we've been putting on events since December. We've already had 3 events now, and we are working on our 4th event coming up here pretty soon in the next few months.
Is that the same company as what you're using for like the drag racing?
No, it's different. So the company for our esports is called E-Racing Association. So we called it E-Racing because it's electronic racing, and we wanted to kind of keep it vast. Our right now, our main software platform that we're using for the sim racing is iRacing. So don't confuse iRacing with E-Racing. E-Racing Association is the league. iRacing is the actual software that's being used to race on.
Mm-hmm. And how well do those skills transfer over into actual real life racing, driving with the virtual headset and all that stuff?
Yeah, it translates over pretty well. So some people use a screen in front of them. Some people have like one single monitor in front of them. Some people have 3, like they'll do the triple screen setup. Then some people do virtual. For me personally, I like the virtual because I feel like I'm in the real race car and I can look around and I can see things sometimes that people with just maybe one screen can't see. Now, if you have three screens, it gives you a pretty good view, but still at the same time, it's fixed. Whereas, in real life, in a real race car, like you're not just fixed. You can look around a little bit. You can see different things. So I like that. I like the sense of speed, all that stuff. So I really like the virtual side of things the most.
How much does it cost to get a decent system like that if you want to compete in these events?
To get a decent system, the one of the biggest things is computer. You got to make sure you have a good computer that's going to be able to handle the internet side of it, handle the graphics, handle the audio, handle all that stuff. Because last thing you want is to have a really slow, choppy computer where it's always laggy and all that stuff. Because then you'll never get a real good experience. So that's the first thing. And you can get a good computer, probably anywhere between $800 to $1,200 in that range. That's a good solid computer. You can get some for a little bit cheaper that will still work, but you might run into issues here and there. But I would say about $800 to $1,200 for a computer. Then for your steering wheel, pedals, and shifter, there's different ones that all range from anywhere from maybe $350 all the way up to a few $1,000s. The ones that are 350 still work great, and they still get the job done. But if you want one that's a lot more, intense, I would say you can go for the more expensive ones. And then for your cockpit, where you actually sit in the actual sim chassis, you can find some for as cheap as $400 or $500, all the way up to as much as you want to spend, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. But overall, you can get a whole setup from start to finish, from computer to monitors to wheels, pedals, shifter, everything. You can probably do it for, I would say, get everything together. You can keep it under $2,000 if you really wanted to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, about 2,000. Yeah, 2,000 or so.
Yeah, we all probably grew up watching the original Daytona USA machines when it was like $1 or £1, and I was a little boy and I could hardly ever afford it.
Yeah.
But it's just such a social experience to get people to sit and play together. The one thing I don't really like about online gaming is that, back in the day when the Xbox first came out, I was the only one that had it because I basically spent my savings on it. I was quite frugal. I was a kid growing up, and I would have like 8 or 10 guys in my room, and we were sitting crowded around this screen playing Halo, and the room got quite a fragrance after a while because we had different washing states, But I would actually like to have like a place where I could have a few of these machines, virtual machines, and just get people sitting together. Not all this remote stuff, because I think remote gaming for me is just not. I don't think it's very healthy, But and also you get lags as well. I guess if you could link these up together in a sort of LAN gaming way, that would be really the best performance for.
Yeah, no, it would be really cool.
Are you still also an active Navy? What's it called? And your officer rank?
Yeah. So still currently in the Navy right now. I'm on the reserve side, so I go 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year. And I've been serving in the reserves for the last 4 years now. Prior to that, I was active duty for about 7 years. So while I was active duty, I was on 2 different ships. I went on 2 different deployments. I went to shore duty right after that before transitioning from active duty to the reserves. So I've been in the military overall for about 11 years now.
And your 2 deployments, are you allowed to speak about that?
Yeah. So both of those deployments went over to the Arabian Gulf. The first one, we were in Bahrain for a majority of that time. That was a pretty cool place. I like that place. And then the second deployment, we just were sailing around the Arabian Gulf. So we hit a bunch of ports on the way. We got to stop in Abu Dhabi. I got to visit there. That was really cool. Stopped in Bahrain, stopped in a few other places. But those are my 2 deployments, about 15 months out there.
So were you escorting a carrier?
Not a carrier, no. We do have an amphibious ready group. So all the, depending on what side of the Navy you are, we have different groups that we roll around as team with.
There hasn't been a US ship destroyed by enemy fire since, I guess, a long time ago. Maybe Vietnam, or maybe it was probably there was
right before that. Yeah. So I would say in the last 20, 30 years or so, 30 something years, I think a couple ships or so have hit mines. But besides that, we haven't had any other country with their ships attack any of ours,
Yeah.
destroy any of ours, not since probably World War II, honestly.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of weapon systems that haven't really had live testing, except when the UK sent ships to Argentina, and I think they sent an Exocet missile and destroyed one of their destroyers. But I mean, there's just so much technology that's just we just seem to be upgrading and upgrading and upgrading. And thankfully, they've never used it.
Yeah.
But we don't really know what this war like that would look like. But you know, it's with China, it's potentially things could start heating up a lot, and I guess America are investing a lot into the shipping and other countries as well. It's an interesting topic as much as you can be interested in fighting, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting with everything going on in the world, and hopefully nothing happens of it. Hopefully everyone can stay calm. It's just every 10 years or so something new happens. So I'm hoping for peace. We don't need to fight anybody. Nobody needs to fight us.
Yeah. So when you're a full-time officer, I guess you're constantly learning, because I mean there's so much technologies and things to do in the ship. Did you have just particular favorite parts of the job that you enjoyed?
Yeah, being on the ships, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to learn, 'cause a lot of different weapon systems, a lot of different, other, combat information systems, engineering systems, a lot of different things on the ship. So, and it changes each ship you go to, because all the different classes of ships have their own systems and how they work. So, it's very interesting. You're always learning no matter what ship you go to, because there's so many different ways to do things on all the different ships. So I learned a lot while in the Navy, and I've been able to translate some of the stuff I've learned from that to what I'm doing now, in NASCAR and everything else I do.
If I was on one of the ships, I've got a very inquiring mind. I would probably really annoy anybody I was with. I would constantly ask them the questions. What does this do? What does that do? When I was at university, I would take stuff from the skip and take it home and dismantle it and see what these electronic instruments were like inside, you know?
Yeah. That's cool.
So what did you find that being an officer in the Navy brought to the NASCAR experience? What skills did you bring over from there?
My ability to communicate efficiently, my ability to handle stress and stressful situations, the physical fitness side, my ability to network with people, problem solving, all these different things are stuff I learned on the Navy side that I've been able to translate over to what I'm doing in my NASCAR career, what I'm doing in the business world, all of that.
Mm. I thought you were recently on the Xfinity series, and you've changed series to the sort of more truck style.
Yeah, so I when I got into the national series of NASCAR, I was racing in the NASCAR Truck Series at first, and then I moved up to the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and I ran about 4 races there. This year, we put our focus on the Truck Series just because we're saving up some money and putting together more funding so that we can make it back to the Xfinity Series and start racing there a little bit more full time.
Mm-hmm. So I guess every expense or any damage you basically comes out of your budget. It's not like the Formula One where there's a sort of infinite pool.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Formula One's a little different because they have these manufacturers who pretty much own these teams, or these multi-billionaires who own these private teams, and anything that happens that comes out of their pocket. So I eventually one day maybe I'll have a billionaire who's supporting my efforts, but right now it's me and all the people around me.
Yeah. I think that for me, I like personally European style racing. We have a track in different corners. I'm not sure I could get into NASCAR because I watched one of your videos where it's basically the turning left, going straight, turning left, going straight. But that's a very shallow way of looking at it. But how do you keep that exciting to you and make it a race interesting?
Yeah, I think from a normal person's view, when you look at it, it looks like, you just drive straight, turn left, drive straight, turn left. But if you actually get on a NASCAR track to see how it's shaped, it's actually not shaped like that. In fact, there's only like maybe 2 or 3 tracks that are drive straight, left, drive straight, left. All the rest of them have different corners. So when you're going through most oval tracks, you'll go through, let's say you go through turns 1 and 2. So you go through the corner, you go through, then on the back straight, it's straight sometimes. And then you go through the next corner. And then when you go into the front straight, it's like a tri-oval. So it's a lot different. And then when you go through the corner, you're going so fast that you're on the edge of grip. So imagine going 180, 190 miles per hour into a corner. And if you went like any faster, you would spin out and hit the wall right there. So you're on edge the whole time. So as much as it seems like you just turn left, imagine turn left, but like if you just a little bit too much or not enough, you're going into the wall.
I looked a little bit at the physics of tires, and it's actually, the tire has the most grip when it's actually sort of almost sliding. And Schumacher was the one of the best that ever could do that. He just sort of could be on the edge that other people couldn't manage. Another thing that I was basically researching about was that I was just shocked that the safety barriers that we have weren't used until like after some more people died, and people were complaining about the basically these solid walls, which you actually hit a solid wall. There wasn't a safe wall there. And what was that like when you hit that wall, man?
Yeah, I've hit solid concrete walls, and yeah, it's not fun. Luckily I was all right, but yeah, I know NASCAR's done a pretty good job of trying to get safer barrier walls around around pretty much all the tracks. So most walls, at least on the outer walls, they're all safer barriers. But for the inside walls, they have some safer barriers in some places, but they haven't put safer barriers everywhere, like on the pit road wall. So there's still some places we can still hit that don't have a safer barrier. But usually by then we're slowed down.
If that was me and I hit that solid wall because it didn't have a safer barrier, I would be absolutely raging, man. I would find the person who budgeted that track and says, look, you basically give me a lot more pain than what I could have had,
Yeah. No, it's tough because you can only put it so many places. And usually the places that have it, usually right now, the ones that don't have it, are places where by the time you got there, most likely you're slowed down a lot more. Right. You shouldn't be going too fast by that point.
So I noticed you've got a strong faith. How do you feel like God has helped you through your career, and where do you feel that He's wanted to take you?
I feel like He's helped me a lot in my career and everything I've been able to do, because I can't do anything without Him. A lot of times I'll be grinding, and maybe I can't figure something out, or maybe some bad things are happening, and all I can do is just pray for Him to come down and deliver, because I can't do it anymore. So I'm always praying. I pray every single day. With God, I wouldn't be able to achieve anything. He makes it happen, and there's no real explanation on how it works. It just works.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel, because you're an elite athlete and also officer in the military, how do you feel people respect your faith in these areas?
A lot of people do, because I talk about it a lot. I wouldn't say I'm like a preacher or anything online, but I mention God a lot, and I thank God a lot in a lot of different things. People see that, they notice it, and a lot of people who thank me for it, for being able to do that. And I do it because it's the right thing to do. Like, without God, I couldn't achieve really anything. So why not thank Him, and publicly thank Him. Now I don't, once again, I don't go on a full sermon, but I still give thanks where thanks is due.
Cool, man. And what do you think about America right now with this all the division that's going on?
Yeah, there's a lot of different factors that's causing it. The media is not helping at all. I feel like the media could play a great role in bringing us together if they wanted to, but they make more money when they can keep chaos going on. So, I don't know. It's tough. I think for things to get better, people just have to open up their minds, open up their ears, and close their mouths, listen to each other, understand each other, and just respect people for people. The more we can start respecting people and also just have God in our life, things will be better. But I don't think enough people have God in their life. So that's why they start going off track and doing crazy stuff.
Okay, Jesse. Cool. Well, I'll let you go. I just had a little prayer before we finish here.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Dear Father in heaven, I pray for Jesse. I pray for his driving. You protect him as he travels on these fast circuits at 300 kilometers an hour, Lord. I ask you to send angels to guide him and in every turn that he makes. And we pray that you'd bless him in his businesses, in his military service, and just teach him more of your ways and guide him in everything he has for his life, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Short and sweet, but we'll do it again once I get this all this IT stuff sorted out and my guests. And thanks for your time, and I appreciate it, Jesse. And have a good day. Thanks.
Thanks. You too. Have a good one.
Bye.
Take care.